Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I want to discuss communism. I realize it's not a super fresh topic. For a lot of people, they have thought about it before, and it's nothing new, but there are some things that people commonly do not understand, or as far as I know, maybe none of them understand, and there's something I want to say about communism that I have discovered in a few minutes. So, a lot of very important questions have been asked and answered by the United States over the years, since its history, since it began. At several key points, the architects of the United States decided to lean towards capitalism. Obviously, we have enjoyed the benefits of an open market, a free market, and that is undeniable. It's undeniable that there are benefits. And they saw the benefits because they were at hand. They were immediate, they were persistent, they spawned things like innovation and quality and competition, and all of the things that we now understand have contributed to a prosperous, luxurious way of life, relatively speaking. However, God bless our architects, because there was an opportunity that they missed, and that is the long game, so to speak, the long game where you're prosperous not just in the short term, but in the long term, more importantly. And here's where I want to use some specific examples of what happens under capitalism. And you may have heard actually the phrase late stage capitalism. Maybe you've heard that. It refers to the inevitable results that come towards the end of an economy that uses capitalism. For example, consider that one of the defining characteristics of capitalism is that you have innovation. We count on it, we rely on it, because people are forced to coin up, so to speak. Coin up or ship out. That is, you have to earn a living in this country. Under this economic model, you're expected to earn a living if you're not retired, independently wealthy, underage, or disabled. If you are not one of these things, you're expected to work. And here's the thing: people work by innovating or supporting somebody who is. You may think that you're not an innovator, but I guarantee you, your employer is selling a product. They are selling a service or a product so that they can pay their bills. That's the only thing you can do here. So let's cut to the chase. I want to make this a short video. So what happens when everybody, literally everybody, is forced to innovate, to pay their bills or die? Because that's where we're at. That's where we've been at for over 200 years, almost 250 years now. And the effect, the result is that you end up creating literally everything that can be sold. It's encouraged, it's expected under this economic system. People are expected to innovate and invent things. In the past, it has been much more prolific, obviously. There were inventors of the past that we still remember to this day as famous people, historical people. And while invention still takes place today, it looks a lot different, doesn't it? It should, and it will predictably, because we have largely discovered all of the big useful items that we need. And we've boldly gone into territory where it's things that can possibly be sold now, not things that are necessarily necessary or helpful or that were requested. It's more about disguising variations of things and combining things into new monstrosities that can be shoved into the marketplace, force fed to people who never asked for them, who don't need them, don't want them, and who honestly, whose lives are not going to be improved by them. I will refrain from mentioning new technologies and products and services. I'm sure that you are thinking about some of these things. Perhaps you should be. Modern inventions that you don't necessarily want, didn't ask for, and aren't entirely helpful to you. So my point here, I want to keep this short again, is that communism anticipates this. And communism, despite what you may have heard in this country, now or in the past, isn't unpopular. It's not. It's there are. You've heard of China. You've heard of North Korea. You've heard of Russia. You've heard of Cuba. Uh, you've heard of Iran. All of these countries. These are very large countries, most of them, and they have historically been 100% in favor of communism. So I'm not saying that by itself is a reason to jump on board. I'm saying it's a reason to question what you've been told. First of all, at the very least, it's a reason to wonder, why is, a gigantic portion of the world not in agreement with the US economic system and ones like it? Why? Well, okay, so there is a reason. There is a reason. Turns out that when you make things, when you manufacture things, you distribute, you invent, innovate, such as we do, as I just described, you end up creating things like brain organoids. And shout out to Bear Bait Official, another YouTuber. She covers stuff like this. She's a teacher and she's a molecular biologist, to my understanding, and she does a lot of cutting edge research and news stories about things that are going on. I'm keeping up with her channel a little bit. I've learned about some things that are disturbing, frankly, and I think a lot of people are a little confused as to why these things are occurring. Why are we inventing brain organoids and cybernetic technology now with hybrid bioengineering and robotics combined? And a lot of this stuff is right out of a horror sci-fi book. And the reason is because the people who are building these things have bills to pay. It's not complicated. It's late stage capitalism. They've run out of ideas. So they're innovating. They're continuing to innovate. They cannot stop innovating or else they starve. It is that simple. You have kids. They have kids. I'm sorry, maybe you don't have kids, but lots of people have families, and that is going to be their highest priority. So if it's between, watching their family starve or be destitute and creating something unholy and disgusting, what do you think they're going to choose? They have a gun to their head in no small way, and it's a real gun. If you don't believe it's a real gun, then quit your job and see how fast it shows up. I'm not exaggerating here. Quit your job and see how fast you see that gun. You are just a few degrees removed from the gun, the figurative gun, and it is an actual gun that gets pointed at you if you step out of line in this country under this economic system. You are expected to pay your taxes so that our national debt can get paid down, so the military can get its funding, so Social Security can get its funding, and all of the hundreds or thousands of agencies that sit around that you can't even call if you need to can get their funding. You don't have any way of verifying or managing the tax revenue. You as a citizen do not. Even if you're a government employee, even if you're the president of the United States, at this moment, you do not have a way of auditing and managing the tax revenue. It is completely off the rails. It's opaque. It is just, it's taking it literally as much as it possibly can from society and up until the point where it is estimated that society will collapse. And the scary part, if that doesn't scare you, is they have lost the ability to put on the brakes at this point. Okay, I don't want to digress too far into the subject, this tangent here, but they can't stop the military from taxing you directly anymore. Have you the way that we have been told that taxation occurs by way of the IRS is just one of hundreds of ways you are taxed. You pay bridge tolls, you pay registration fees, you pay licensing fees, you pay business fees, you pay real estate tax, income tax, sales tax. You pay so many different taxes. Your water bill, if you pay for clean water in this country, if you can't not do it, if you can't not pay for electricity or internet, those are all taxes as well. A tax, if the way I'm using the word, is something you cannot not pay. It's a fee that is taken from you or you die. So here's your problem. You're seeing the emergence of technologies like brain organoids and bioengineered robotic cybernetic stuff that is unholy. It's wrong. It's sick. It's the doorway to hell in no exaggerated way. And it's because these people can't not do it. They have to under this economic system. So in conclusion, I'm just over 10 minutes. I don't want to go on and on. How could our founding fathers have anticipated all this? It's not fair to expect that. They did what they thought was the right choice. They did what they thought was going to set this country up for success financially. And it worked for a while. Longer lived civilizations such as China, which is older than the US by many orders of magnitude, have more wisdom. They have more experience with this stuff. It's not their first rodeo, so to speak. And I don't mean to say that we should all just move to China or adopt their ways, but I'm saying question what you've been told. Question the rhetoric, the programming that you received in school, because a lot of that stuff is out of date and it's just fallen apart in the face of evidence. It's falling apart in the face of actual degradation of everything that is decent and the quality of life across the board in this country. Whether you're rich, whether you're poor, there is some nasty stuff coming out that will touch you. And it's because they have bills to pay. Reach out with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.